Hey everyone, Rua here with another NM tutorial and strategy guide. I figured I'd get back to doing more of these on some of the NMs I know people struggle with, and don't worry, the next upload will be a full-length job guide, but for now, let's tackle Kyou. Kyou is one of the harder, if not the hardest Omen boss, and even after all this time he still gives groups trouble. This is mostly down to the fact that he requires coordination, and that one major mistake can quickly snowball and cause the run to fail. In this video, I'll briefly go over the mechanics at work here, some of my tried and true countermeasures against them, and show you all the battle from the perspective of three key jobs in the setup. Kyou is not as straightforward as most other Kachere in Omen. His regular attacks have a good chance of inflicting status ailments on the person hit. A healer can generally keep on top of them, but as you'll soon see, this battle can get very hectic when it speeds up. I mean that literally, as Kyou is a monk and has access to 100 fists. So when he goes into high gear, his target can become quickly overwhelmed by the ailments they're being buried under. He'll only use it once, but that might be all the window he needs to swing this battle in his favour. Single target damage is nowhere near the main threat in this battle, as Kyou also has 3 AoE spells, with his biggest hitter in Meteor becoming available when near defeat, at which point he'll start using it solely, and start using it often. To make matters worse, Kyou also seems to favour using Deathly Diminuendo over any other special attack he has. This inflicts a pretty substantial curse to half everyone's HP, and also inflicts a strong paralysis effect to hinder efforts to remove it. This preference for special attack is likely intentional, since it can make Kyou's signature attack lethal. Unfaltering Bravado inflicts 10,000 damage in a conal attack, with its damage being split between the number of players it hits. You can now see the problem here. If you lose one party member before Bravado is next used due to Curse or Meteor, then the next use will likely kill even more party members, and it's all downhill from there. Kyou will use it 4 times in the battle, so you can tell when it's coming and hopefully be ready for it. To top it all off, Kyou gains 2 auras with each use of Unfaltering Bravado. Avoidance Down, which prevents players from evading, parrying or shield blocking, and Muddle, which prevents players from using items. So that's the rough outline of the mechanics, but how do you beat them? Bravado's damage is split between the number of people it hits, so having all 6 party members in front of Kyou reduces the damage to the extent you can survive it. You'll have some members in critical HP from it, but you will survive. This is not optional. Stack up or Kyou is going to wipe you out. Geomancer Luopans are also taken into account for the damage calculation of Bravado, so having them manually placed in front of Kyou and hitting Dematerialize effectively gives you an extra body against it. Use the manual targeting of the Luopan to do this. It has to be placed directly in front of Kyou, not directly on him. Avoidance Down might render most forms of defense from conventional tank jobs a moot point, but it has a fatal flaw you can exploit. It does not affect counter. Monk tanks are very effective in this battle with a solid counter, or better yet a counter stance set absolutely wrecking Kyou. Speaking of Monk, here's another reason at least one should be mandatory in your group. Mantra's max HP boost caps out at 30%, and while it alone won't cancel out the steep 50% drop from Diminuendo's Kurska, it could be what saves your group if it's used before Bravado and before your healer can react. Diminuendo is extremely dangerous, and coupled with Bravado is absolutely the biggest threat in this battle. You have a great counter against it, against most of Kyou's attacks actually, in a Bard's Carols and Pining Nocturne. The 2 Dark Carols can give over 400 darkness resistance to the entire party. This gives you all a solid chance of outright resisting Diminuendo, even more of a chance if the Bard keeps Pining Nocturne on Kyou to further hit his magic accuracy. Regardless of all you do, this battle is going to put a lot of strain on your group's healer, so they will need all the support they can get. I suggest that both the Bard and Geomancer sub White Mage to help out. The sooner you end this battle the better. It's going to be one heck of a ride, so buckle up. The ideal setup for this strategy gives you some room to move. The best healer is White Mage given its solid response to AoE damage. Bard and Geomancer are essential, do not even attempt this without them. The 3rd support slot is really up to you. Corsair, Red Mage or Summoner, your call. Of the 2 DPS slots, only 1 Monk is mandatory and they need Mantra merited to maximum power. The 2nd slot can literally be any job. Bards need a specific song setup to make this battle easier. Get your 4 placeholder songs up and use Clarion Call to gain access to your 5th. Then, use Soul Voice with Nitro and do the following. On a March, Valor Minuet 5, Blade Madrigal, Dark Carol 1 and Dark Carol 2. Only using one carol will not suffice, you need to stack them. If you don't have the 4-song harp, then simply take the minuet out of the lineup. Oh, don't worry about there only being one march as well. Under Soul Voice, On a March with just a regular haste spell from the White Mage subjob will come very close to capping the haste category. When the battle begins, the Bard's main jobs are to keep Elegy and Nocturne on Kyou, and provide support healing and ailment removal. Kyou will frequently remove Elegy and Nocturne, but since you have Soul Voice for a full 3.5 minutes, just reapply them at maximum power when he does. Doing this will also reduce the chances of Kyou attempting Deathly Dim Innuendo. It's also important to use Magic Finale to remove Kyou's Protect 5, it substantially increases his defense and needs to be taken off as soon as possible. Magic Finale is light based, so you should have no issues landing it. Remember that Kyou gains a muddle aura throughout the battle, and if he lands Silence from Stygian Cyclone on your White Mage, a Bard using Silena on them might be what saves the day. Be ready for it just in case this happens. The Bard's role in this battle is simple, but very much pivotal. A good player on it will make a world of difference. The fact that Kyou's scale is required as a material for Bard's Artifact +3 Reforge means you're rarely going to have trouble finding one too. This battle really feels like a monk's true exhibition show. All the job strengths are brought to the forefront. If you have a good set for counter stance, you'll see it really pay off here. If you're uncertain, then be sure to put some counter gear in a hybrid set to try hold Kyou off for as long as possible. If you are using counter stance, then you need to watch out for petrification from a melee attack if one gets through and rolls that specific ailment. You cannot counter while petrified, so Kyou will drop you very fast if he nails you with it. If it happens, cancel counter stance immediately. If you go down, then it could very well be game over for your entire party. Remember, tank jobs are going to struggle here since they will not be able to evade, parry or block through the avoidance down aura, whereas a monk can counter through it. When Geofrailty is active and the group positioning sorted, use 100 Fists and go absolutely ham on Kyou. Monk's only way of generating a stream of enmity is from damage output after all. If skill chaining is not really viable due to the weapon skill spam, use footwork and build TP for tornado kicks. The raw damage from 100 Fists and Impetus will compensate for the reduced weapon skill frequency. When you see Kyou use his own 100 Fists, you have the perfect counter ready for it. Literally. Use Inner Strength to double your HP and better yet, completely cap your counter rate at 100% for its entire duration. This, coupled with the damage boost from counter stance, will make a monk rip shreds out of Kyou during his own SP. Watch his HP plummet as he suicides into your counters. A good monk is absolutely pivotal to the success of this battle. Just watch for petrification potentially getting you killed if you're using counter stance, and this will be a thrill of a fight. As I said earlier, the healer easily has the hardest job of the group here. I won't undercut it, this battle will put a White Mage's skills to the test. Your group needs to do absolutely anything they can to help them out. No matter how good your White Mage is, this battle is going to be very rough if things don't go exactly to plan. If and when something goes wrong, it tends to snowball quickly, and a White Mage's reaction speeds might not withstand sustained pressure. Please help them out. You have Benediction and Asylum as last-ditch tools to save your group if you are losing control of the battle and desperately need a breather. Use them. Divine Caress with an AoE Cursener will also potentially save the run. Be mindful of all the tools you have available. Afflatus Misery might actually be better than Solace for this battle, since it will give the White Mage a second powerful AoE heal in Cura 3, and Asuna if Kurska lands and needs removing quickly. Whenever each use of Unfaltering Bravado is incoming, get ready with Curaga 4 or Cura 3, but beware of your timing. You don't want to cast it too soon and end up wasting the timer for no effect. If somebody falls mid-battle, the White Mage cannot be the one to get them back up so they can soak Bravado damage. That duty needs to go to one of the other supports. The White Mage could easily have far too much going on as is, they will need a helping hand. Kyou remains one of the harder NMs around in endgame even after all this time, because there's a lot of mechanics going on with him that need to be beaten. The prevalent typecast I've seen has been to just throw summoners at him, but even then that's not a guaranteed win, and let's be real, hardly inclusive of other jobs who need the scale. Hopefully this video has shown you how to beat this persistent thorn in people's sides to the extent people can now take him on with fewer reservations about being the one who forms a group, and without the need of resorting to just buying his coveted drops. Okay, that's all for now. I'll see you all next time for Dancer's Job Guide.